The 7 levels of super soldiers in comics. Level 1. The Enhanced Humans. Captain America. Steve Rogers was a frail young man from Brooklyn during World War II who desperately wanted to serve his country, but was rejected by the military due to his poor physical condition. He suffered from asthma, scarlet fever, rheumatic fever, chronic colds, and numerous other ailments that made him 4F, unfit for service. However, Steve's determination and moral character caught the attention of Dr. Abraham Erskine, a scientist working on Project Rebirth, a secret government program to create super soldiers. Erskine chose Steve not for his physical capabilities, but for his heart and unwillingness to bully others, believing the serum should go to a good man rather than a perfect soldier. In 1941, Steve received the Super Soldier Serum, a formula that enhanced every aspect of human capability to peak potential, transforming him from a 90-pound weakling into the perfect human specimen. Captain America, standing 6 feet 2 inches, and weighing 240 pounds of pure muscle. Captain America's enhancements represent peak human potential rather than superhuman abilities. The serum enhanced his strength to lift approximately 1,200 pounds, his speed to run at 30 miles per hour sustained, his reflexes to react 4 times faster than normal humans, his healing to recover from injuries in days rather than weeks, his metabolism to never get drunk or sick, and his aging to slow dramatically. He's not superhuman. He can't fly, shoot energy beams, or lift cars. But every physical attribute a human possesses is maximized to theoretical limit. His shield, made of vibranium steel alloy, is his only equipment beyond his enhanced body, and his decades of combat experience make him one of Marvel's most formidable hand-to-hand combatants. Captain America has appeared in countless comics since Captain America Comics #1 in 1941. But several storylines particularly showcase his super soldier capabilities. Captain America, Man Out of Time explores Steve's adjustment after being frozen in ice for decades and awakening in the modern era. The Winter Soldier storyline introduces Bucky Barnes as a brainwashed Soviet super soldier, creating a mirror to Steve's ideal. Civil War positions Cap as leader of anti-registration forces, demonstrating his tactical genius and combat skills against Iron Man's technology. Captain America Reborn deals with Steve's resurrection after assassination, and recent runs explore what it means to be a symbol of American ideals in complicated modern times. One of the most impressive demonstrations of Captain America's enhanced human abilities occurs during an Avengers mission, where he must hold a helicopter to prevent it from taking off. The comic shows Steve gripping the landing skid with both hands, his muscles straining as he uses his peak human strength to anchor the helicopter. His feet dig into the ground and he's leaning back at an angle that maximizes leverage, using not just strength but perfect understanding of physics and body mechanics. The helicopter's engines are at full throttle and Steve holds it down for nearly a minute. Not because he can overpower the engines indefinitely, but because his peak human strength combined with optimal technique allows him to delay the takeoff long enough for his team to complete their mission. The feat demonstrates that Level 1 super soldiers operate at the absolute ceiling of human capability, performing feats that seem impossible but are technically within human limits if every aspect of physiology functioned perfectly. Another significant moment showcasing Steve's abilities occurs when he fights multiple opponents simultaneously in an elevator in Captain America: The Winter Soldier storyline, adapted in the MCU film. The comic depicts Steve surrounded by a dozen Hydra agents in a confined space, and he defeats them all through a combination of his enhanced reflexes, strength, and decades of combat experience. He moves with efficiency that makes every action count, blocking attacks while striking back in the same motion, using his shield to deflect weapons while simultaneously kicking opponents, and positioning himself so enemies get in each other's way. The fight takes less than 2 minutes, and Steve emerges victorious despite being outnumbered and confined. This demonstrates that enhanced human super soldiers don't just have better physical stats, they have the mental processing and muscle memory to utilize those enhancements with maximum efficiency. Level 2. The Weapon Programs. Wolverine. James Howlett, who would become known as Logan and eventually Wolverine, was born in the mid-1800s in Canada with a mutant healing factor that kept him alive through decades of war, violence, and trauma. His mutant abilities included rapid healing from virtually any injury, slowed aging that kept him in his physical prime for over a century, enhanced senses of smell and hearing, and bone claws that emerged from his knuckles. However, Logan's transformation into the ultimate super soldier occurred when he was captured by the Weapon X program, a Canadian government Black Ops project that experimented on mutants and humans to create living weapons. The scientists of Weapon X bonded the indestructible metal adamantium to Logan's entire skeleton, coating his bones and claws in the unbreakable alloy, and subjected him to extensive mental conditioning and memory implantation to create a controllable killing machine. The Weapon X enhancement process was brutal and dehumanizing, shown in graphic detail in the Weapon X storyline by Barry Windsor Smith. The procedure involved breaking every bone in Logan's body and pumping molten adamantium directly into his skeletal structure, while keeping him conscious through most of the process. His healing factor was the only thing that prevented him from dying during the procedure, constantly repairing damage as it occurred. The adamantium bonding made his claws unbreakable weapons capable of cutting through virtually any material, increased his already formidable durability to near invulnerability, and made his skeleton impossible to break. However, the metal poisoning from adamantium constantly leaching into his bloodstream meant his healing factor had to work continuously just to keep him alive, reducing its effectiveness for other injuries. Wolverine has been a central character in X-Men comics since his introduction in The Incredible Hulk, number 181, 1970, and his Weapon X origins have been explored in numerous storylines. Weapon X by Barry Windsor Smith is the definitive origin, showing the torture and experimentation that created him. Fatal Attractions shows Magneto ripping the adamantium from Wolverine's skeleton, nearly killing him. Enemy of the State depicts Wolverine brainwashed and working as an assassin for the Hand and Hydra. Old Man Logan shows an elderly Logan in a dystopian future where his healing factor is finally failing. Death of Wolverine kills Logan when his healing factor is neutralized, and he's encased in liquid adamantium. One of the most impressive demonstrations of Wolverine as a super soldier occurs during the Enemy of the State storyline, when he's brainwashed and sent to assassinate every major hero and villain he's ever fought. The comic shows Wolverine infiltrating the X-Mansion and taking down the entire X-Men team single-handedly before they can react. His Weapon X training combined with no moral hesitation makes him devastatingly effective. He uses his knowledge of each teammate's weaknesses and powers to neutralize them in seconds. Storm is stabbed before she can summon weather, Cyclops is blinded before he can use his optic blasts, and Colossus is disabled by strikes to pressure points that work even on his metal form. The scene demonstrates that Weapon X didn't just make Logan physically enhanced, they gave him training and strategic knowledge that makes him one of Marvel's most dangerous combatants when operating without restraint. Another significant moment showcasing his super soldier capabilities occurs when Wolverine fights the Hulk in their original encounter. The comic depicts Logan attacking Hulk with his claws, and despite Hulk's vastly superior strength, Wolverine's adamantium claws can actually hurt him, one of the few things in Marvel that can consistently damage Hulk's skin. The fight shows Wolverine using his smaller size and agility to avoid Hulk's attacks while landing strikes with his claws, cutting through Hulk's flesh. He doesn't win the fight. Hulk is too strong and eventually overpowers him, but the fact that a roughly 200-pound enhanced human can fight the Hulk at all demonstrates the effectiveness of Weapon X enhancements. His healing factor repairs damage from Hulk's punches fast enough that Logan can keep fighting despite bones breaking and organs rupturing, showing that level 2 super soldiers can engage opponents far beyond their weight class through combination of enhancements and tactical skill. Level 3, the genetic experiment. Deathstroke. Slade Wilson was an elite soldier in the US Army who volunteered for a secret military experiment designed to create meta-human soldiers during the Vietnam War. The experiment involved a serum that was intended to enhance resistance to truth serums by increasing brain function, but it had unexpected effects on Slade's entire physiology. The serum enhanced his strength, speed, reflexes, healing factor, and mental processing to superhuman level, transforming him from an excellent soldier into one of the world's most dangerous assassins. Unlike Captain America, whose serum was refined and controlled, Slade's enhancement was an experimental prototype with unpredictable results, giving him abilities that exceed peak human, but at the cost of mental stability and the death of his family's normal life. Deathstroke's enhancements include strength, allowing him to lift approximately 2 tons, speed, enabling him to dodge bullets after they've been fired, reflexes and mental processing that let him use 90% of his brain capacity simultaneously, compared to humans' 10%. A healing factor that can regenerate from injuries in hours rather than days. And most uniquely, enhanced neural pathways that make him a tactical genius capable of processing combat scenarios and planning strategies in real time. His signature characteristic is using these enhancements not for heroism, but as an assassin and mercenary, making him DC's premier super soldier villain. He's missing his right eye due to an injury his healing factor couldn't fully repair, but he's compensated by enhancing his remaining senses and spatial awareness. Deathstroke first appeared in The New Teen Titans #2, 1980, and has been a consistent presence in DC Comics as both antagonist and occasional anti-hero. The Judas Contract is his most famous storyline, where he infiltrates the Teen Titans using Terra as his spy. Deathstroke the Terminator ongoing series explored his origins and mercenary work. Identity Crisis showed him fighting the entire Justice League simultaneously and nearly winning. Rebirth-era Deathstroke by Christopher Priest is considered the definitive modern take on the character. He appears in Dark Crisis as a major antagonist manipulating events from the shadows. One of the most impressive demonstrations of Deathstroke's super soldier capabilities occurs in Identity Crisis when he's hired to distract the Justice League while his employer executes a plan. The comic shows Deathstroke fighting Green Arrow, Black Canary, Atom, Hawkman, Green Lantern, Kyle Rayner, and Zatanna simultaneously. Using enhanced reflexes and tactical genius, he counters each hero's powers. He predicts Green Arrow's trick arrows and destroys them mid-flight, uses sonic dampeners to neutralize Black Canary's cry, catches the Atom when he shrinks and tries to attack from within, breaks Hawkman's wings with precisely placed strikes, absorbs a Green Lantern construct blast with energy-absorbing armor, and nearly stabs Zatanna before she can cast spells. He doesn't defeat all of them. Eventually, numbers overwhelm him. But the fact that one enhanced human can fight 6 superheroes simultaneously demonstrates that level 3 genetic experiments can challenge entire teams through superior tactical thinking combined with physical enhancements. Another significant moment showcasing his abilities occurs when Deathstroke fights Batman, which happens regularly across DC continuity. In one encounter, Batman has prepared extensively with knowledge of Slade's enhancements and tactical patterns, but Deathstroke's enhanced mental processing allows him to adapt to Batman's strategies in real time. The comic shows them exchanging blows where Batman uses his superior martial arts technique, while Deathstroke uses enhanced speed and strength. What makes the fight interesting is that they're both peak tactical mind. Batman without enhancements but with more training, Deathstroke with enhancements but less pure skill, creating relatively even matches where victory depends on circumstances rather than one being definitively superior. This demonstrates that level 3 super soldiers can match heroes like Batman who represent peak human achievement without enhancements, showing the effectiveness of genetic experimentation. Level 4, the failed experiment. Deadpool. Wade Wilson was a mercenary with terminal cancer throughout his body when he volunteered for the Weapon X program, the same project that created Wolverine. Desperate for a cure and with nothing to lose, Wade agreed to experimental procedures that the program claimed could cure his cancer and grant him superhuman ability. The scientists subjected Wade to torture-based experiments designed to activate latent mutant, attempting to trigger a healing factor that would cure his cancer. The procedure succeeded in granting Wade a healing factor derived from Wolverine's DNA, but it didn't cure his cancer. Instead, his healing factor and cancer cells exist in constant warfare, with his healing factor preventing the cancer from killing him, while the cancer prevents his healing factor from working properly. The result is a body in constant regeneration and decay simultaneously, leaving Wade's skin severely scarred and disfigured, his mind fractured by constant pain, and his sanity questionable. Deadpool's healing factor is arguably more powerful than Wolverine's in raw, regenerative capability. He can regrow entire limbs, survive decapitation if his head is reattached quickly enough, and regenerate from catastrophic damage that would kill Wolverine. However, this comes at terrible costs. The constant cellular warfare creates chronic pain, his appearance is grotesquely scarred, resembling burned flesh, and the brain damage from continuous cancer and regeneration has left him mentally unstable, breaking the fourth wall and experiencing hallucinations. The Weapon X program considered him a failed experiment because, while he gained powers, the mental instability and physical scarring made him unsuitable as a controlled operative. They imprisoned him in a facility where inmates were subjected to deathbed, with guards wagering on which prisoner would die first. Wade earned the name Deadpool from these betting pools and eventually escaped after his enhanced healing allowed him to survive torture that killed other prisoners. Deadpool first appeared in The New Mutants number 98, 1991, created by Rob Liefeld and Fabian Nicieza, initially as a villain before becoming an anti-hero. His popularity exploded with the Deadpool ongoing series beginning in 1997 by Joe Kelly. which established his humorous fourth-wall-breaking personality and tragic backstory. Deadpool Kills the Marvel Universe shows a dark alternate timeline where Deadpool systematically murders every Marvel character. Deadpool, the good, the bad, and the ugly, explores his Weapon X origins and relationship with other failed experiments. His recent series continue exploring the tension between his comedic persona and his tragic circumstances as a failed super soldier experiment. One of the most impressive demonstrations of Deadpool's healing factor occurs in a storyline where he's literally blown to pieces by an explosion. His body is scattered across a room in dozens of chunks. The comic shows each piece of his body independently regenerating, with Wade's consciousness apparently experiencing awareness in multiple chunks simultaneously. Over the course of several hours, the largest piece of his body, his torso with head attached, regenerates the missing limbs and organs while the other pieces wither and die. The scene is played for dark comedy, with Wade making jokes about which piece will become the real him, but it demonstrates that Level 4 failed experiment super soldiers have regenerative capabilities exceeding even successful programs like Wolverine's, making Deadpool nearly impossible to kill through physical damage, despite being classified as a failure. Another significant moment showcasing his status as a failed experiment occurs when Deadpool fights Taskmaster, a villain with photographic reflexes who can copy any fighting style after seeing it once. The comic shows Taskmaster analyzing Deadpool's combat style and predicting his moves, but Deadpool's unpredictability stemming from his mental instability makes him nearly impossible to predict. He switches fighting styles randomly, makes tactically nonsensical decisions that nonetheless work, and his willingness to take damage that would incapacitate others because his healing factor will repair it, creates a fighting style that can't be copied because it has no consistent pattern. Taskmaster becomes frustrated trying to predict someone whose instability makes them genuinely random, demonstrating that Deadpool's failure as a stable super soldier makes him more dangerous in some ways because conventional tactical analysis doesn't work against someone who doesn't fight rationally. Level 5. The Extreme Augmentations. Deathlock. Deathlock is not a single individual, but rather a designation for soldiers who have been transformed into cyborg super soldiers through extreme augmentation that replaces most of their organic body with advanced technology. The most well-known Deathlock is Luther Manning, a colonel in the US Army who was critically injured in combat and pronounced dead. His body was recovered by a Black Ops program that rebuilt him as a cybernetic organism, part human, part machine, designed to be the ultimate soldier. The augmentation process involved removing his damaged organs and limbs and replacing them with advanced technology, installing computer systems directly into his brain that can override his consciousness, and weaponizing his body with built-in firearms, targeting systems, and combat analysis program. Unlike earlier super soldiers who were enhanced humans, Deathlock is a cyborg where the majority of his body is artificial, making him more machine than man. Deathlock's cybernetic enhancements include superhuman strength, allowing him to lift approximately 3 tons, reinforced endoskeleton and armor plating that can withstand heavy weapons fire, integrated weapon systems, including plasma cannons in his arms and chest, targeting computers that make him a perfect shot, enhanced reflexes through computer-assisted reaction time, and most significantly, an onboard AI computer that can take control of his body if it determines Luther's human consciousness is making tactically suboptimal decisions. His appearance is distinctly inhuman. Half his face is skeletal metal with a glowing red eye, his body shows exposed mechanical components, and his movements have a mechanical quality that makes him appear more like a walking weapon than a person. The psychological horror of being Deathlock is that Luther is aware and conscious, but often unable to control his own body when the computer overrides him. Deathlock first appeared in Astonishing Tales number 25, 1974, set in an alternate dystopian future, but various versions have appeared across Marvel continuity. The original Luther Manning Deathlock appeared in stories exploring his struggle to retain humanity while being forced to kill by his programming. Michael Collins became Deathlock in the 1990s series, a pacifist scientist whose brain was transplanted into a Deathlock body against his will. More recent versions include soldiers voluntarily undergoing Deathlock conversion in modern Marvel continuity. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. television series featured Deathlock prominently, bringing the character to mainstream attention. Various storylines explore themes of free will, the cost of military enhancement, and whether extreme augmentation eliminates humanity. One of the most impressive demonstrations of Deathlock's capabilities occurs when he's sent to eliminate a terrorist cell fortified in an urban building. The comic shows Deathlock's perspective through his cybernetic eye, displaying tactical overlays, enemy positions highlighted through thermal imaging, structural weak points identified, and optimal attack routes calculated by his onboard computer. He assaults the building alone, his enhanced strength allowing him to tear through walls, his armor absorbing gunfire from multiple directions, and his integrated weapons neutralizing enemies with perfect accuracy, headshots at distances where human soldiers would struggle to hit center mass. The entire assault takes less than 5 minutes, with Deathlock eliminating over 30 trained fighters without sustaining damage requiring repair. This demonstrates that level 5 extreme augmentation creates super soldiers who are less individuals and more walking weapon platform, exceeding human soldiers in every measurable category through replacing biological limitations with technology. Another significant moment showcasing his augmentation involves Deathlock fighting the Fantastic Four when his programming identifies them as threats. The comic depicts Deathlock analyzing each member's powers in real time. His computer calculates that things Rocky Hyde can withstand his plasma cannon at 40% power, but will crack at 65%, that Human Torch's maximum temperature is known, and his heat shielding can withstand it for 8.3 seconds, that Invisible Woman's force fields have measurable energy signatures his sensors can detect, and that Mr. Fantastic's elasticity has limits his database can exploit. Using this analytical capability, Deathlock fights the team to a standstill despite them being far more powerful, demonstrating that extreme augmentation includes cognitive enhancement that makes level 5 super soldiers as dangerous for their tactical processing as their physical capability. Level 6, the Cosmic Soldier. Beta Ray Bill. Beta Ray Bill is an alien from a species called the Corbinites, who underwent extensive cybernetic and genetic modification to become his race's champion and protector. The Corbinites faced extinction when their galaxy was threatened by Surtur's demon, and they needed a warrior capable of protecting their evacuation fleet while they searched for a new homeworld. Bill volunteered for a program that combined genetic engineering, cybernetic enhancement, and body modification to transform him from a normal Corbinite into a powerful warrior. The transformation was extreme. His body was rebuilt with enhanced musculature. Cybernetic components were integrated throughout his physiology. His appearance was altered to a monstrous equine-like form designed to intimidate enemies. And most significantly, he was bonded with his starship Scuttlebutt, creating a symbiotic relationship between warrior and vessel. The result was a super soldier operating at levels far beyond Earth-based enhancement program, designed not just for planetary combat, but for space warfare against cosmic threats. Beta Ray Bill's enhancements include superhuman strength in the Class 100 range even before wielding Stormbreaker, durability allowing him to survive in space and withstand attacks from beings like Thor, energy projection through his cybernetic systems, and most uniquely, the worthiness to wield Asgardian weapons. When he encountered Thor and Mjolnir, Bill proved worthy and could lift the hammer, something only a handful of beings across all Marvel continuity can accomplish. This worthiness led Odin to commission the dwarves of Nidavellir to forge Stormbreaker specifically for Bill, giving him an enchanted weapon equal to Mjolnir. With Stormbreaker, Bill gained the ability to summon lightning and storms, fly through space at incredible speeds, and access power rivaling Asgardian gods, elevating him from enhanced alien warrior to cosmic level combatant. Beta Ray Bill first appeared in The Mighty Thor number 337, 1983, created by Walt Simonson, in a storyline that shocked readers by revealing a non-Asgardian could lift Mjolnir. Stormbreaker, the saga of Beta Ray Bill, is his origin miniseries exploring his transformation and mission. He appears throughout Thor comics as an ally and occasional rival, fighting alongside Thor against cosmic threats. Beta Ray Bill, God Hunter, shows Bill hunting Galactus after the World Devourer destroys the Corbinites' new homeworld. Recent appearances include Beta Ray Bill series by Daniel Warren Johnson exploring his struggles with the cost of his transformation and his perpetual war to protect his people. One of the most impressive demonstrations of Beta Ray Bill's super soldier capabilities occurs during his fight with Thor when they first meet. The comic shows Bill and Thor battling across New York City and eventually on Scuttlebutt in space, and they're completely evenly matched. Bill's strength matches Thor's, his combat skills are comparable, and when he gains possession of Mjolnir after Thor is separated from it, Bill wields the hammer as effectively as Thor himself. The fight demonstrates that Bill's enhancement program created a warrior capable of matching an Asgardian god, despite being from a completely different species, showing that level 6 cosmic soldier programs can elevate beings to divine power levels through combination of genetic engineering, cybernetic enhancement, and pure warrior training. Another significant moment showcasing his cosmic soldier status occurs when Beta Ray Bill fights Galactus in God Hunter. The comic depicts Bill attacking the World Devourer with Stormbreaker channeling lightning powerful enough to hurt a cosmic entity. Bill's enhancements allow him to fight in space without breathing apparatus, track Galactus across light years, and withstand the cosmic forces surrounding the World Devourer. When Galactus swats Bill away, the impact sends him crashing through asteroids, but his enhanced durability and Corbinite engineering allow him to survive forces that would atomize unenhanced being. He doesn't defeat Galactus. That would be impossible, but the fact that he can fight the World Devourer at all demonstrates that cosmic soldiers operate at scales where planetary threats are routine enemies rather than existential challenges. Level 7. The Living Weapon. Sentry. Robert Reynolds was an ordinary human with substance abuse problems who broke into a laboratory seeking drugs. Instead of drugs, he found and drank an experimental serum called the Golden Sentry Serum, which was a more advanced version of the super soldier serum that created Captain America, amplified by thousands of times. The serum granted Robert the power of 1 million exploding suns, transforming him from a drug-seeking addict into potentially the most powerful superhero on Earth. However, the serum's immense power came with a terrible side effect. It created the Void, a dark counterpart to the Sentry that represents Robert's fears, guilt, and destructive impulses given cosmic-level power. The Sentry and the Void are two sides of the same being, with Sentry representing hope and heroism, while Void represents death and destruction, making Robert Reynolds a living weapon so powerful he's dangerous to both enemies and allies. The Sentry's powers include strength exceeding Thor and Hulk at their baseline levels, flight at light speed, energy projection, and manipulation. Molecular manipulation allowing him to rearrange matter, resurrection abilities, where he's returned from death multiple times, and a golden aura that inspires hope in allies, while his Void form inspires terror and madness. His power is so vast that he's defeated Molecule Man, fought World Breaker Hulk to a standstill, torn Ares, the god of war, literally in half, and his mere presence affects reality around him. However, his power is tied to his mental state. The more confident and heroic Robert feels, the stronger Sentry becomes, while the more doubt and fear he experiences, the stronger Void becomes. This makes him a living weapon that even his wielder cannot fully control. The Sentry first appeared in The Sentry No. 1, 2000, by Paul Jenkins and Jay Lee in a storyline that revealed he'd been Marvel's greatest hero for years, but everyone forgot him due to mental manipulation to prevent the Void's return. He was reintroduced into main Marvel continuity during New Avengers, where Tony Stark recruited him hoping to use his power for good. Secret Invasion showed Sentry killing the Skrull Queen when no other hero could. Dark Reign had Norman Osborn manipulating Sentry for his own purposes. Siege culminated in Sentry fully becoming the Void and being killed by Thor and the Avengers. Various returns and resurrections have occurred since, always treating Sentry as too dangerous to exist, but too powerful to permanently eliminate. One of the most terrifying demonstrations of Sentry as a living weapon occurs during Siege, when he becomes fully possessed by the Void and attacks Asgard. The comic shows Void Sentry ripping Ares, the god of war, in half by pulling his upper and lower body apart with his bare hands, something that should be impossible even for gods to do to other gods. But Sentry's power operates at levels where divine durability means nothing. When the Avengers try to stop him, he swats them aside effortlessly. Iron Man's most advanced armor is torn apart, Thor's lightning doesn't slow him, and only concentrated efforts from multiple heroes simultaneously can even hurt him. The scene demonstrates that level 7 living weapons are so powerful they require combined efforts from entire superhero teams to oppose, and even then, stopping them is barely possible. Another demonstration of his status as a living weapon occurs when Sentry fights the Molecule Man, a villain with reality-warping powers that make him one of Marvel's most dangerous beings. The comic shows Molecule Man attempting to disassemble Sentry at the molecular level, a technique that works on virtually any opponent. However, Sentry's power is so vast that he resists molecular manipulation, actually reassembling himself faster than Molecule Man can disassemble him, then overpowering Molecule Man through sheer power output. The fight demonstrates that living weapons at Sentry's level operate beyond normal power category. He's not just strong or fast, he's channeling so much energy that reality warping abilities struggle to affect him, because his power simply overwhelms the manipulation attempt.